we were marching through the streets. All the Jews were marching to the courthouse that is now a museum in Novogrodok. So when we came to the courthouse, we stayed there like, I would say, 2 nights. And then they told us to go in the courtyard. My father, my mother, and my 2 sisters. We went to the courtyard, and my uncle went, because they had small children, right away to the courtyard. And then my sister, who was 10 years old, 10 and a half, thereabout, she said, "Ma, I want to live a little longer. Let's go to the back of the crowd." So we were pushing to the back of the crowd. And then a Stabsleiter came in. Wolfmeyer was his name, if I'm not mistaken. And I worked in the garden for the Stabsleiter. And my father, since he was a bookbinder, was binding all the documents for the Germans in his office. So I knew him by sight, the Stabsleiter. So when I think back, I don't know how the energy came to me. For life, you do a lot of things. I ran away from my mother and from my father, and I ran to that Stabsleiter. As a matter of fact, I pulled him by the belt, which was written, "God is with us," on his buckle. And of course I hugged him. You know, this was like just not thinking. And I said, "My father works for you, and you will need him." So in a loud voice he said, "Ja, wir brauchen haben." My father was a bookbinder, and he needed him. And I said, "I worked in the garden, you know." So he called for a German. No, I have to backtrack again. I started to yell, "Ma, they let us leave, you know," and my sister's names. But I couldn't get them out because there was still a lot of, maybe 1,000 people thereabout in that courtyard. And the army trucks, the German army trucks, were taxing, you know, to quickly take those people to be killed. So I ran over to one of the Germans and said, "I'll show you. My mother is there. Call her. And I want to, you know, I wanted to save my mother and my sisters." And in a loud voice, the Stabsleiter said, "Bookbinder, come here." So my father ran out by himself, without my mother and without my sisters. And when I started kissing and hugging that German, that I'm telling him the truth, "I'll show you where they are," you know, my mother and my sisters. So and I hugged him, you know, that particular German. I hugged him. I was a young girl and wanted to kiss him. He was a soldier. So another German ran over and hit my father over the head. And my father was bleeding at that time. And he said to the German, "You will be killed like a Jew. Why are you letting her grab you?" You know, to the German that was supposed to take us to the living people. So, of course, everybody got quiet, and the German and myself was taking me back to the living people, to the court house. And then I came to the same room. And that's how I survived at that time.